guys, BBI here. I want to stop and say thanks for tuning in and checking out whatever the video is about that's about ready to come up next. If you could take a minute and hit subscribe, I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you enjoy what you've seen here, make sure to hit the like button. We'd greatly appreciate your support. Anyhow, guys, all that aside, let's get on with the show. Frustrated. Hello, by the way. This is about the fourth time I've had to video this, and each time I keep running out of room, and I go and I ditch some files, and I delete this or do that, and I frickin' lose this intro segment that I keep shooting. And what depresses me the most is this amp right here is a rebuild. Doesn't look like it, but it is a rebuild. This is from my good friend 300 in California. This is his 24 pill. I have lost all of the video segments where I deconstruct his box. I very meticulously test all of these transistors. I got to go through and clean all of them, and I've got to rebend all the tabs, and me polishing the heatsink, and me getting all this done. See, I'm also doing all of these amps over here at the same time, and they're all for different people, and stuff keeps getting lost. I'm getting a little frustrated here. So to help prove this point, this is the amp that we took apart for the transistors. This is 300's old 16 or 24 pill. Now I took it apart not aggressively, and I left most of the components in here because, like I told him when we originally started this thing 4 months ago, only 4 of the transistors, which were this section here, were questionable. And he told me the problem that he was having is it'd slap new pills in it and it'd blow up the same 4 pills, same 4 pills, same 4 pills, same 4 pills. And I'm like, cool. This is a beautiful hunky heatsink, by the way. So I said, you know, you get better performance if we take this old 1980s, 1990s way of thinking apart and we build you something a little bit more modern. Now what has happened is one of the capacitors in the combiner section had gone bad, and some of the output capacitors and the output transformers to swamp the output transformers had gone tits. And so the technicians he was taking them to was literally pulling the transistors out and slapping new ones in and said, here, you're good to go. And he would run it for a little while and it'd burn up again. But it was like I was telling him on the phone, let's take the incredibly valuable Toshibas out of here. We had 2 bad pills out of this 4 pill section, and 2 of them were incredibly low, like gains of 1 and 2. They were ready to go, just right on the edge. And I documented all of that, and I lost it. And that makes me mad. But like I was telling him, we can take, and if he wanted to, for about $500-600 down the road, once we get this guy completed, we could take and put Toshibas back in here and bring this amp back to life, but take the good parts and build something really kick-ass out of it. So the reason there's been such a delay is I took on this project, and then right after that we had a cabinet shortage, nationwide board heatsink cabinet shortage, and we're not going to go into the details of that. It's not worth it. Needless to say, fast forward about 4.5-5 months, the cabinet shortage is over. We can go and get cabinets, boards, and heat sinks. There's a huge backlog of equipment that needs to get out from the company that provides those things. I finally get the cabinets, and then I'm able to work this thing into the schedule. So that's where we sit today. We have the pill strips all cut. The transistors are all mounted. They're down on polished heatsink. Lost all of that video as well, and all of the video for all of these others. Frustrated. Absolutely, totally frustrated. So that gets you caught up to here, which we've lost probably about 45-50 minutes of this build already on video that you guys get to enjoy, and my customer gets to enjoy, and it all falls down on this guy right here. My fault, my bad. So needless to say, we got the cabinet. We've got the other one sitting here with all the screws and all the parts in here. We could easily go put this other amp back together with the cheaper transistors, and I mean, that's a great box. Somebody in the 90s put a lot of love into that amp. It's a one continuous homogeneous piece of heatsink, big thick heatsink fans, adequate air cooling on the bottom, adequate air cooling on the top, But what he wanted me to do is strip it all the way down and completely rebuild it into something that's built in this style, which is a more efficient circuit. The circuit that we're going to lay down here is more efficient than the one that all these parts came out of. And I told him no, it would be less work if I would take the parts out, the core of the parts, the transistors, the Toshibas, and put them into something newer. And he was all about that. I was like, sweet. Where we're at now is I got to do the power distribution. We're going to put the in and the output transformers down today, and then I'm going to set this aside, and then I'm going to go work on these over here, okay? And do the same thing with them. I'm so frustrated I lost all of that. God, I didn't want to start the video here. I wanted to start it when I had that other amp up here. But this is where we sit. So, moving forward, now what I got to do is strip and tin all of these, and I got to lay down all 12 of the power distribution network. And then we got to go through and mark where we want to have our power wires come through the board, and we're going to drill that out. And that's where I'm going to stop on this for today. Tomorrow I'm going to come back, we'll mount the relay. We're going to do a couple other things, and then I got to go back and jump on to doing repairs for 3 or 4 days, and then I can come back and work on these and get some of these wrapped up. I got a 16 pill in here that I've been working on for a guy. Now, he got me involved in this project entirely too long ago, and it needs to get done. So it's also in a 24 pill cabinet enclosure with a 24 pill heatsink. I had the guys at ICA do me a mega solid. I said, listen, these are going to be borderline comp boxes, both of these. This one's going to be a daily driver. This is going to be the driver for this box. But what I had them do is give me overlength heatsink. Normally the heatsink comes back to about here and it stops. And they were kind enough to give me this super extra 6 inches of heatsink, which is a big deal. The more metal surface you can get underneath the transistor, obviously, is more surface area that you can heat up, and that more surface area gives you more ability to convey the heat to the air as a cooling. So it's going to make it a little bit crowded for the power wires in the back. We don't care about that. We'll work around that. I will gladly put up with that versus the shorter heat sink and not as much ability to dissipate heat. So we're going to throw everything in the kitchen sink at this, and everything in the kitchen sink in these over here as well, and we're going to move forward. The other thing I wanted to cover is my good buddy Zane at Big Rig Radio purchased a whole, well, pretty much every one of these metal clad capacitors we could find. I want to cover this because this is important. We got together, we did some deals. He bought some equipment, and then I turned around and sold some equipment, and we did some stuff, and we got together and kind of as a combined deal. This cap right here is what everybody's used to seeing, okay? We're all used to seeing this metal clad capacitor. It's about, what, a 5 or 6 kVA metal clad mica stack layer capacitor. These things are about $7-8 a piece, each one of these capacitors. There's another builder out there that was no longer in business, decided that he would try and save money by going and using all kinds of other caps, and it eventually was one of his major downfalls. So for me to vary away from these caps, because, well, let's face it, this is what everybody considers to be the industry standard, yeah? Okay? We still have these, we still have access to these, we're still buying these. These are two 500 puff metal clad capacitors put in series. Yes, no. Anyhow, they're 1,000 puff a piece. The difference is double the kVA. So this can handle twice the amount of pressure and heat dissipation as this cap. This is a step forward. Well, the reason I bring that up is because it's not only the 500s and the 1000s that we were able to lay our hands on. It was literally everything else in between. He's got 5s, 7s, 10s, 12s, 15s, 25s, 35s, 40s, 100s, 250s, 150s, 1200s, 2000s, 130s, 330s, 120s. This is just a very small portion. We bought something like 78,000 pieces in metal clad. We did that for a reason. We want to sell them to you guys. So that was a large chunk of money and a lot of work on both of our parts. When you guys decide that you're going to ask for all metal clad parts, and all the builders that watch this, you guys can feel free to contact Zane at Big Rig Radio, and he will gladly sell you these. And these are 1,000 puff within 1%, and they're double the kVA rating. But you don't have to have this heavy of a kVA rating. The metal structure of the capacitor is what we have to shoot after. Okay? There's other guys that are using SMAs, surface mount capacitors. Those aren't working out too well. They get too hot. There's not enough metal in them. They can't dissipate the heat. We've seen failures with that as well. And it really comes down to placement. And if you're stuck sticking them on the top end of the transformer like that, there's a lot of electrical energy and a couple different field properties that take place at the top of the transformer that cause these to get warm. So, in my opinion, this is a little bit better than this. We're selling these at about $5 or $6 a piece versus $7 to $9 a piece for these. So, if you want to go get them, call him up, go check him out. That's his thing. Zane at Big Rig Radio. Anyhow, that's the reason the capacitors are different. Other than that, we're going to throw everything but the kitchen sink at it. On all of these boxes, I have had the request to not make them too ornate. And what do they mean by that is I have kind of become very well known for making incredibly elaborate amplifiers that are incredibly pretty to look at, but if something does break in them, they're a giant pain in the ass to fix. So, on these, we're going to stretch more towards absolute pure streamline functionality and ease of transistor replacement. Because people do overdrive stuff. Antennas do fall off. Coax connectors do go bad. Shit gets left on. Stuff happens. I mean, shit happens, right? So I want to make it so that the transistors are easily interchangeable. And one of the things that I've done to aid that is instead of taking the pill strip and sliding it dead up onto the transistor, I've slid it back just a hair, just big enough so that you can get a dental pick underneath there to lift up each one of the legs. That kind of thing is what we're doing here. So, now that we've got all the groundwork laid down, this is section 1. This will be part number 1 for Mr. 300. And then each one of these other videos, or each one of these others will be their own segmented pieces of equipment and different videos on their own. So, okay. Away we go. Well, here we go, Mr. 300. All your output transformers down, all your input transformers are down. And remember, these are the 4 that we had to replace that had such low beta gains we couldn't use them. The rest of these were in the 30s and the 50s range. We actually matched them. If I would have not lost that video segment, you would have seen that process and the day and a half it took to get all the flux cleaned off of every one of these transistors and get them all nice and beautiful and the tab straight, and you know. But anywho, these are the 4 that we had to replace. This corner right here, out of the other box. And so all of these have a gain over 60 on them. But your power distribution is in, power wire distribution's in, the output transformers are now in, and the input transformers are down in. All the 120s are in place, and all brand new 10 ohm resistors. So about a 3 or 4% efficiency gain in the circuit translates to the part running 3 to 4% better, which means that we're going to get more power output out of the box. That efficiency, every little percent that we can get, makes a huge difference. Remember, the component on its best day is like 70-ish% maybe. So most of these boxes, the circuit that surround the component is so inefficient that it drags the part down to like a 40 or 50% efficiency rate. Okay? So the circuit and the way we play with the RF and the way we push all the amperage around is what truly dictates most of the time what the efficiency of the components can be. But the component itself is built into where it's only because it is, let's face it, 1970s technology that was apexed in the mid-80s and has now been completely eclipsed by the universe, and no one even recognizes this as a valid form of anything anymore. But that's okay. Some of the things we do, we are stuck in the dinosaur age. That's just the way it is. The efficiency rate of these components at this voltage is really at the top end of the scale. If you're lucky, the stars align and the planets come into alignment just right, it's going to be somewhere around 70% efficient. So we've maximized what we can do with the parts that you provided me. Now we're going to go and we're going to continue and we're going to finish out and we're going to build the rest of the surrounding architecture around this. But as far as you guys are concerned, we're going to jump on to the next segment. As far as I'm concerned, I'm going to put this down, and now I've got to go work on those three. So we shall return. Well, let's keep stacking parts. Got all the 100 ohm flybacks in. So now we're going to go through and we're going to tag down all the Class C chokes. And then we're going to go through and we're going to put all the input splitters and combiners in. So just one step at a time. I feel like I'm living my life on Memorex here today, because this is pretty much all I spent my entire week doing, is just these style of boxes, little solid state boxes. I enjoy the fact that I get to do such a diversity of stuff. I might have to bail away here. I've got a good friend of mine that has been developing this new technology of not using a power supply with a new, well, not a new, but a new to the radio world MOSFET. It's power supplyless. So they just take the 110 wall current, they're going to direct rectify it and regulate it. It's kind of neat. Developed by a friend of mine, but I was asked not to say anything about it a couple years ago, and it's getting ready to come to market now, and it's kind of interesting to see how this is getting delivered. Anyhow, he's calling to fill me in on it because there's already somebody bragging about it on Facebook, and I was like, wait a minute, what? This is the route they're going? So I might have to cut away here in just a minute from doing this to learn about that, if that makes any sense to you guys. Which I think it's great. Either way, I think it's great. I just want to see my friend get the credit that he's due, and I want to see him be successful. And I don't want to see this other person that's involved take from that person's credit that is deserved to them for researching and developing all of this. That's my biggest concern. Is it really my place to be concerned about it? No, hell no. But when you care about somebody who's been kind to you and taught you as this person has taught me and been kind to me, I do get concerned about it. So we will see how this turns out. But in the intermedium, we're going to sit here and we're going to work on this 24 pill. I got my dog with me out here. He's still trying to figure out that when he comes out here to be with Dad, he's not coming out here, we're not going to get to play. Dad's got to work. He's giving me the sad, disappointed eyes like, We had so much fun the other day on our road trip that we took. It's just my dog and me on the road. It was fun. Really fun. I've really got this thing about people giving credit where they learn things. Giving credit where credit is due. If you learn something from someone, and I know that you've learned it from somebody, you better give them credit when you come out into the public forum and start talking about it around me. Or I will call you out, drag you up on the cross, and I'll do more than stick the spear in your side. I will absolutely friggin' devastate you. And everybody that's around me knows that. That's the way I've always been. So I always give credit to everybody that's been kind enough to teach me anything. And even in certain applications, I pay them. Because that's what it's due. That's how this works. So it's really, this is hanging heavy in my heart to see how this is going, because I'm afraid that the person that they're choosing as their vessel to convey this to the rest of the universe is not going to do that for these people. It's only because we've seen him do this before. So we will see. All right. Well, the next thing is I got to pull off of doing this, the next step on this. So I'm going to pull away off of this, and I want to go build my 150 puff metal clad output combiner capacitors. And once I get that done, then I got to add this to the board. Mega overkill, as always. So we're going to do this for time measuring purposes. So, like, it has taken me about an hour and a half to get the input side of this done, or the output side of this done over here. And that's with having all the parts assembled. An hour and a half with the parts assembled to put together. And I'm starting to wonder, how long does this really take to do each one of these? So we're going to do this one here. And what I'm looking for is perfection. Like the length of my resistors, I want to have the same length. The length of the wire pulled out of each one of the transformers, I want to have the same length. The length of the wires coming off the splitter and the combiner ports, I want to have the same length. I want to have where the wires solder to the balance resistor the same length. So you got to be really super precise and slow, because this is where you gain and lose performance, is here and then on the other side over here. Everything has to be the same. And you know, in my brain, I tell myself this shouldn't take this long. I should be able to just cruise through this. I'm taking too long. But then I tell myself what you're doing is really important, and so I go really slow. Too long. So frustrating to me. This takes a whole day to do this right and do it thoroughly. But yet I feel, and I know it's probably not based in a factual point of view, but I feel like this shouldn't take this long. I feel like this takes a lot longer than it should. Now let's bend up these parts. So that's one, and that's with all the pieces pre-assembled. So now on this particular port, I've got the resistor in place. Let's go ahead and we'll pre-assemble the input capacitor, which is 270 puff. Electrically the right thing for the circuit. So the idea is to provide to the end customer the best, not the cheapest, and not what will be the, not that'll do the job, what we know will do the job, provide the absolute best thing that we can to the customer at the end result. So, hence my belief we should still use the expensive caps and not the cheap ones from Alibaba. So I had my conversation with my friends, and they all assured me that the person that is producing this new stuff that's getting ready to come out has paid through the nose for it, and there is a lot of things involved, and that I shouldn't say anything and I need to keep my mouth shut. So I am going to keep my mouth shut, and I'm not going to say anything other than good on, have fun, hope you enjoy it. It was something that we talked about 3-4 years ago, and I'm glad you're going to be the one to bring it to the market. Good luck to you. And you all are going, what the hell is he talking about? You'll find out here in a little bit. Because it's not my place to say anything. I don't need to say anything more. And I won't. I think we're just going to start right here. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I got building, and I never slowed down or stopped. Enough said. Tomorrow is power wires up the middle of this thing, and ground, and get the relay wired up and get it mounted in the cabinet, and get all the little small stuff done like on-off switch, remote, that kind of stuff. Probably key it tomorrow. We're real close. I mean, like, I'm real close. Like, really, really, really close. On that note, at 2:18 in the morning, I'm calling it a day. It's been a fun 12-hour afternoon. I'll see you guys. Bump, bump. Shall return. What did they just say in that show? It's okay to kiss on the baby hatch, but not on the mouth? Yeah. I joined with Todd Freeman here today. He's chilling, just kicking it. We're bringing this 24 pill to the tail end of things here, and we're sitting there watching Brickleberry, but I got our power wire all tied off, and let's take a look at the top side. And we'll rotate. Something new for everybody to look at, I think. It's purty. Cat bank is cool, isn't it? It's getting a little crowded towards the ass end of things here towards the relay, so I decided instead of just putting the capacitor bank off over here like I've done in the past, I'd elevate it. I haven't done one of these in a while. I did one that had a big flying V down the middle of capacitors one time, but these little these Panasonics are super high dense capacitors, so that'll work. All right, well, let's see, the next step, Todd, is we're going to put the key-in circuit in, which is strictly over in this little area. And so you need to pre-wire it for the remote, or no, for the on-off switch, and then we need to prep out the 24 pill enclosure.
Cool.
Mount the son of a bitch, we'll call it good.
See, I'm not right in my truck.
No. I think this is going to go down to California, and then from there he's going to sell this thing, I think. I think he's kind of disillusioned with the box, to be honest with you. So.
Can't blame a guy for trying.
Yeah, is what it is. Well, let's get back on track here. My good friend Todd Freeman come to town, and we spent most of yesterday with his truck all torn apart in the parking lot. Put all new RG400 coax, bonded everything, all new power wires, soldered eyelets with epoxy-based heat shrink. I mean, literally did it perfect. I just get tired of these. Some of these things, they show back up over here 3 and 4 times, and it's from, well, guys' installations, and they don't realize what they're doing is wrong. So it's good to help him get that square. It was fun. But now I got to get back on track with this particular project because I'm real close to being done with it, and I need to be done. I've got a bunch of other stuff on my plate. So yet. Good date night with the wife. I come out here and work on this for a few hours and see how far we get. And now we're big enough. That should get us all the way down to having to install fans, which should be almost completed. Okay. So now I got to work on the population of this thing. The term population is used not to describe a mass number of people or number of people in one location, but to describe getting all the components in the cabinet ready for me to insert them, or insert the board. So make it ready for mounting. So power wire grommet is in, and let's go do lights, coax connector. Gonna make this our ground, so then we gotta get rid of the clear here, clear around this coax connector, clear around the remote, clear around the power wire on off switch. We'll polish the clear away in 2 or 3 other spots. So when we screw the cabinet down, we'll have a good ground for the fans. Yeah, away we go. Do 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 do. Something wrong with that screw. Do, do, do. Do, do, do. Let's get another screw in. Oh yeah, this one's forked. Okay. Get another screw and go over here and grab a new one out the bag. Now, let's do this one here. Let's vibration bump this into place. What do you guys think? Do-do-do. Do-do-do. Oh, I love this part. Laying down the smoke screen. Now it's solid. So, go over here and we'll get ourselves some paper towels. Do 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 do. Do do do. Do do do. Come on. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Can't have that nasty caramel butter up in there. I mean, flux, right? Stuff sure comes off easier when it's hot. All right. Well, on to the next step, which is going to be soldering in that eyelet and its twin partner right there. See, there I go. Forgetting to include my viewing customers and friends. All right. Okay. On to the next step. Okay, so this thing's ready to key. All you gotta do is tune it. Remote's all hooked up. On our switch is all hooked up. Got our input and output capacitance tubes. We're taking a wild guess at our input capacitance. We got that in there. I just got done doing the pass-through to capacitance. And what I mean by that is the tune that takes place as we're going through the box. I've explained this in very many videos. As the RF goes from your radio through the amp out to the antenna, if the amp is off because of the extra induction of the circuit, we have to add capacitance. So, needless to say, or the RF that's coming from your antenna down to your radio has to go through the amp also. So we got our capacitors added, and let's see what we got for a tune. Let's zoom on over here to the KC901 network analyzer. It's looking pretty good. How good's it really looking, BBI? See, this silly old thing. Okay, so where are you going to stop, camera? Turn this knob any tighter, the Pope isn't going to even have anything to give us. Okay, so at 27.0250, we have 1.04, 1.054. All the way out at 32 megahertz, we have a 1.063. Otherwise, pass-through is perfectly resonant. Complete flat response. Now, if I had 1 or 2 puff capacitors, I could probably tune it down even lower than that. But that's so low that there's not even a hiccup of an impedance bump as the RF is going through this beautiful creation. So now what we're going to do is we're going to break away from this little section of video. Now I'm going to go tune it. And when we come back, we're going to start running it through its process. And we all know how this game is played at this point. Well, what process is that? That's where we do the demonstrator to show everybody what the guy's actually got. Let's see what this box actually does. So, put our relay cover on. On that note, let's get started. Okay, so what we got going on here is we're going to put about 1.25 watts in it. Now nothing is set up so it's resonant quite yet, but 1.25 watts dead key gets the relay to latch. Yeah, right at about 1.25 watts. And that's with nothing being resonant. So once we get it tuned, by the way, this is a 5-watt slug in reverse, or in forward, I mean. So I'm just showing you dead key. So once we get it to tune, then we'll actually see it amplify some stuff. But right now we just kind of spitballed it. And so the box doesn't quite know what to do yet. So let me start tuning it and let's see what we get. Let's have a little bit of fun. 20 whole watts of drive is making right now. And the box is on 12.5 volts. 620 watts of power. That's with a 1/16 or a 1/10 of a watt of reflex. So let me come down here. And let's turn our voltage up a little bit. I'll come up to 15.5. One. Yeah, this thing's gonna run. I have a feeling it's gonna run. So just playing with it, watch this. Same amount of drive. Audio, 20 watts. 750. It's time to increase the drive. Going to the striker. Yeah. Okay, so here we are. We're on the 955 now. About 80, 90 watts input. Trust me, I'll fly you around the whole lap here in just a second. Watch this. Hello. I freaking love that. Hello. So let's go ahead and go on up. Check this out. So this is in the 2x position now. The full deflection to the right is 2,000 watts. So what, about 18 and some change? Let's see, 18, 19, 1656, 1700 watts. God, the input tune could not be any flatter. Holy smokes. Same amount of drive. Just been sitting here playing with it. Oh, here, hold on. Let me make this make sense for all you guys. Same amount of drive. Back up to 2x. Let's turn on the 24 pill. Found them extra couple hundred watts just by playing with the tune. Bringing it more and more in balance. Okay, let's go on up to drive. Let's do about 150 watts into it now. Okay, so we're going to start back down on 2x where we left off. Now I've got the Striker 490 into it. Hello. Let's go all the way down to 1X. Hello. It's about 125 watts. That's all we're putting in this. Now we're going to go to 5X. Full deflection, 5 kW. So adding 2 zeros. 5,000, 4,000, 3,000, 2,000, 1,000. Let's bring the little 24 pill online. Hello. Now remember where we were at with the Striker hitting it. Let's go back to 2X. The Striker hitting it, we were getting about 19 out of it, right? Hello. Pinned it in the corner. Going down to 5. Hello. Hello. 2,500 peak. Well, now it is time. This is where we go to the 2 pill, then we go to the 4 pill, and then we go to the 2x4 setup. Time to slowly start marching it forward. One little step at a time. Okay, let me get set up for that. Focus. 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 There we go. Okay, so just stop for dinner here. Let's bring this the rest of the way home. So now what we're hitting this with is the 2950 and the 2 pill. So on 5X it looks like this. Hello. Down on 1X it looks like this. Hello. Putting about 400 watts peak into it. So now let's go back up to 5X. And I think I already explained to everybody what that looks like. So reading that middle scale plus 2 zeros. Hello. Hello. 1. 3,800 peak watts with 400 watts worth of drive. Which is really, really good. Especially taking into account the volts that we're on. So we're almost up to the power of a 16 pill and we're still hitting it with a 2 pill. Let that sink in for a quiet minute amongst the masses and we're going to move on. Okay, let's quit pussyfooting around here. Now we're at the point now where I gotta have air on this thing, okay? We're starting to get a little warm, the box is getting heat saturated, so we're on the 1X scale now. We're up on the 2x4 driver. Let's go down to 5X, straight out the chute. And we'll turn the 24 pill on. And that's on the stop peg on both meters now. And that's with 800 peak watts worth of drive. Making 5,000, 6,000-ish watts with 800 watts of drive. And that's hard on the stop pegs. So we're making about 5,500 watts, give or take a little bit peak power. And the 1,000 watt slug is just up and gone, so instead of abusing my meter, let's just go ahead and put a 5K slug in there. It's about 2,400 watts average. So that works out to be about right. 10K slug's a little shy. I have no idea what this is going to read. Put that down on 1X. So once again, we'll kill the 24 pill. So we're going to put about 1,000. Going to make about 1,000 watts, 800 watts or so. Okay. About 50, 55, 5,300. It's about what I expected. Okay, well. Okay, let's start here. Shot that last segment without sound for a reason. I want you guys to pay attention. It's a 50 watt slug and reverse back from the bench 2x4. Okay, so let's go over here. Oh, look at that. I got glare going on. Can't have that for you all. So the power supply is idling at 16.9. Trust me, it's going to drop. I've got something that's changed in my power supply here today. And I just need to get this done. So we're going to be running, believe it or not, at 14.3. 14.3. Let me reiterate that, 14.3 volts. Anywho, over here we've got the 5,000 watt slug-in 2X. So it's reading as 10,000 watts peak, 10,000 watts in average, 5 watt slug-in reverse. Power supply issue affects everything. So I think I might have popped a module or something. I don't know what's going on. Got a voltage cracked to max, voltage cracked up all the way to the max, and it's still dropping like a freaking lead balloon. So I don't know what we're going to see out of it from max bird when we go over to the derail radio, but we're going to shoot this in a non-cutaway segment. Here's where we've got our positive wire hooked up for our voltmeter and our ground wire hooked up for our voltmeter. So let's be as hard as we can on it first. And those meters should be within about 10% of each other if memory serves me. So let's get it keyed up here. There's 5,000 watt carrier, dead mall. About 4,300 shown on the other amplifier or on the other meter. Do that again. I want you to also see this. Let's pan out so we can add a little bit of validation to the showing you what's going on with the power supply here. So 13.72, 5,000 watt dead key with no fans on it. So we know that we can achieve over 5,000 watt bird with this. Modulated, we're going to see that climb up to almost 6,000 watts. So let's go ahead and back our dead key down a little bit. I just can't keep the voltage up, you guys. Doesn't matter, the proof is in the operation. One, 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 one. One. 2 whole watts of reflect coming back from the 24 pill. I've been sitting here tinkering with this and I'm like, why won't the watts come up? Why won't the watts come up? I don't understand. And then I put a voltmeter on one. Oh, we got a problem. Houston, we have a problem. Okay. So we got a 3-foot jumper in here right now. Right here. So that means we can work with a 3, a 6, a 9, 12, and so on, if that makes sense to everybody. But this thing is wanting to put out more. It just doesn't have the voltage to do it. If I could get up to about 15.5, 15 flat under operation, we'd be in excess of 6,000, 6,500, somewhere in there. One, 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 one. One, one, one. We can clearly see we're making about 2,500 bird at the moment, and we are climbing on up there towards the 6,000 watt mark easily. Okay, so let me switch radios. Man, I got a serious power supply issue going on. Look at this. It's making, we're on the bottom scale in that middle meter. Making around 4,000 bird. Check this out. It's backing up. Let me show you why it's backing up. Oh shit. Well, we're demonstrating the box is working, but not to its fullest potential. Just got me a little upset at the moment. So let me tear into the power supply. If it's not something I can easily fix right now, we're just gonna Have to put the fans on this thing, show the fans run and run it as it sits, because it's obviously making great power. 4,000 bird. I mean, it's no epic numbers by far, but 4,000 bird is 4,000 bird. I just did a massive reset on the power supply and got it working better. But you know what? I'm sick of this. I'm sick of this. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna build me a ball smashing friggin' iron core supply. It's not like I don't have the electrical energy coming out of the wall over here. Okay, so now we're on the derail radio and we're gonna shoot for we're going to look at that middle meter, and then we're going to look at the meter on the right. So we should see about 6,200-ish, and we're going to see around 4,000-ish average. Hello. Hello. So most as I can squeak out of her with the power supply running the way it is for some oddball reason. Hello. And that's on 14.3, almost 7,000 watts peak power on the derail radio. Hello. Hello. 6,200. I'm sure you guys will see that at about 6,000. But the voltage isn't dropping off to 12 volts no more over here. So, all right. I got power supply issues I got to address. Either that or I got to put some super caps in there somehow and figure out some stuff about some stuff about some stuff. We'll get to that later. Let's get this finished. All right, let's get the fans down. I'm going to do the fans on the lid. We're going to get the lid mounted up. We're going to run it with the fans attached. We're almost done, boys and girls. We're almost done. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I was starting to get a little depressed. So I reached in my bag of goodies and I grabbed a super cap. So let's do some tests now that we finally got some solid voltage. Now where I've got this hooked up is directly here at the feed point for the amp. Okay, and you know, in an optimum world, we would have that snuggled right up here to the back of the amp. We'd have our power leads hooked up to the super capacitor and coming right onto the amplifier. Instead of what we got this going on is we got the super capacitor kind of paralleled at the feed point. Here, let me pick the whole tripod up and show you. So I kind of got that clamped on. So the voltage that we're reading is at them dual eyelets. So let's go up here. And let's see, I gotta do one more thing. So 2x, all right. So let's reach down here. All right, 15.4, it's close enough. So 15.4 volts. This is still 5,000 watt slug and 2x. This is still our 10,000 watt slug. Okay. But look at what our voltage is doing over here. It's at 14.5. Roughly the same results as we were getting before. So now, let's go ahead and crank our volts up a little bit. $16.48. Let the cap charge up the rest of the way. Now remember, we're still going to have a significant voltage drop because of the way we have this wired. But now we've added some voltage stability where it's not dropping to 12.5 once we go to drive it. So here we go. Yeah, that was 6,200, 6,300 easy. So now, let's go on up another volt. Let the cap charge up. 77, 7,300, somewhere in there. Inside the amp is dropping down to probably 15 volts or so. So now we're going to come off of the 2950. Where's the derail jumper? Let's see what we can get out of it now that we're not dropping down to 11.5 volts. Oh, that's better. 72, 7,300 peak over here. Look at our average number. Remember, this is a 10,000 watt slug. So we're reading this bottom scale, you guys, adding 2 zeros. 44, 4,300 average. I'll live with that. I'm happy. This box is done. I'm done with it. I hope the customer is happy with it. Can't seem to get him on the phone for the last 2 days. All right, so let's pull off of this and let's now go look at this. Let's make sure this is zeroed. 0.0. Let's grab the derail microphone. Roll. 500 amps worth of current draw. Yeah. Now we're going to look at this and that. Pardon me, that. You don't believe in supercapacitors, you should after this. Because they make a monumental difference in how shit operates, period. Give a crap, they do. Pan a little bit here more to the right so we can get the whole picture. And let's see here. We're going to go to manual. We've got both fields of view in focus now. Get this in focus, and that in focus. So you take from this what measurements you need to make yourself happy. It's like 43, 4,400 watts and almost 8,000 peak on 500 amps of draw. Air's not even warm yet. I'm done. I'm done. Let's leave this be. Be right back. Well, guys, here we are. We're at the end of this thing. This is the wrap portion of the video. This is a completely brand new amplifier. And I know originally when I was sitting down with 300 and we were talking about building this, I was going to reuse the input transformers. I was going to reuse a lot of parts out of this box. So I very quickly recognized that I wanted to leave this the way it was for the most part. And I just wanted to grab new parts and get it done because it would have been quicker. Much quicker than taking these apart and not knowing what the material mix is on the input transformers trying to clean up all the solder work and stuff. It was just simpler to go and do a complete brand new build from the ground up for him. This is type 61 throughout, except for the power wires, where the power wires go through the board. That's type 43. It's completely made with Teflon silver wire. Not Teflon copper silver plated, but Teflon silver wire. Okay, that's the way all the boxes have been made for a long time from here. Just don't say a lot about it. It's got hand-lapped, hand-polished heatsink on it. Okay? It's got a ton of brand new power wire and a nice even power distribution bus down the middle. Way super oversized overkill relay in the back, 30 ampere. It could handle this plus 2 more of these boxes, I'm sure, before he has a problem there. Teflon coax connectors, of course. I literally put everything but in the kitchen sink at this, and I built it in such a way that it doesn't have to come back here for repair. Simply replace the 10 ohm resistor, replace the 100 ohm resistor, and change out the transistor if you pop one. 7100 to 7300-ish peak, 4300 bird, 5000 plus watt dead mall, 4.5 watts worth of input reflect. Maximum drive was 1000 peak watts, so about 480 bird input. I'm really glad to be done with this one, and I feel bad about this. I wasn't able to get to this as quickly as I was hoping, but went ahead and I threw the kitchen sink at it because I wanted it to go out here and be right. I'm not a mass builder, nor do I ever want to be. And I think people get that confused in their mind a lot when they try and order something from me. Oh, it's taking him too long. Well, no, builds go on as long as they have to, and I will get there when I can, not when you deem it's necessary. I've had a lot of issues come up in the process of me taking the money to take this project on. But it's done, and it's done without sparing a single thing. So wherever this ends up going, he's already expressed to me that he is not going to even end up using this box. I think he's going to sell it, or he's got a buddy of his or whatever wants it. It took me 128 to 133 hours to make this amp at this level. Every wire is within 1/16 of its paired partner in length internally. I hope whoever ends up getting this box loves it, respects it, and enjoys it as much as I loved, respected, and enjoyed making it. So on that note, guys, I gotta go. I've got a ton of other things I gotta get onto. This is just one step in a long path that I've been walking down for years. So, gentlemen, enjoy, and I appreciate you all tuning in. My name is BBI. Without a shadow of a doubt, I am the biggest mud duck in Idaho. Come check us out, www.bbiamps.com. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and every once in a while I do a little bit of Instagram. Thanks, guys. I don't get to be here without all of you, and I don't get to do this fun stuff without you guys being willing to wait on me to do it. Next project starts now.